Hello, welcome back to another video. So at the moment we're driving from the track. We're probably about another good 10 minutes away, I'd say. I've already got the go-kart and hopefully all of my equipment. I kind of woke up a little bit late this morning and then sort of panicked in a little bit of a rush, but I think I made sure that everything is with me for the weekend. So I got my tools, I got my water, I got my food, I got the go-kart, my engines and stuff, obviously. So yeah, currently on this way to the racetrack. For context, we are heading into Ipswich Kart Club Round 4. We are currently leading the standings by a healthy points gap of about 180, 120 I think, from what I've self-calculated. We've got some fairly standard good competition this weekend. We've got, I think, multiple state champion joining the ranks for this weekend. We've got 70 Salvo, who I think is third in the standings. And we got even our teammate Brad McNaught, the number 5, who you would have seen from a previous video recently. And yeah, but regardless, I think the grid has got some decent competition in there. There's a bit of other competition missing, which is a bit disappointing. They're off to a race meet at Coffs Harbour this weekend, which has unfortunately clashed with a round of the Ipswich Kart Club Championship. But regardless, we got some good competition, and I think it's going to be a good bit of racing. So it's about 20 to 11 now. I'm probably going to arrive there in about 10 minutes, and then get my entry from the practice today sorted, and then do all my go-kart work. I'm likely to hopefully be out there by about 12 o'clock, so we'll see how we go. But in the meantime, let's just get to the track.
So here we are, guys, in for a flying lap here at Ipswich Kart Club. One thing I actually wanted to mention, that I didn't mention in the pre-car talk on the way to the track for the weekend, is that we've actually now got our second engine bolted on, which has also recently come back from its engine rebuild and dyno run-in from Power Republic. So this is just in for a simple top-end rebuild. Just required a piston, gudgeon pin, piston ring, and a few other little bits and parts. Got a brand new spark plug and front two sprocket on it and everything fitted to it. And as you can see, we're just going around the track testing it for the weekend. Here we are actually working in the pits on the kart, playing around with different gear ratios, as well as playing around with the exhaust flex of it. Now, a lower gear ratio would be better for top speed, meaning less acceleration or less RPMs. So it would take longer to get to maximum RPM, while a higher sprocket ratio or a higher value, a higher number of the sprocket ratio gives you more acceleration but less top end, so you'll be able to reach your maximum RPM quicker. But what we're doing here with specifically on the exhaust pipe here is we're just changing the flex, so just how far back the pipe actually sits away from the exhaust manifold of the motor. And what that actually does is if we can adjust it with I think a maximum of like 6 millimeters worth of exhaust spaces, and what that does is it actually gives more bottom end the more exhaust flex you actually have, but the less exhaust flex you have, the more beneficial it's going to be up top speed. So first two sessions of the day we actually went with the maximum allowed of exhaust flex that we did with a lower sprocket, or a small sprocket rather, and then for the rest of the day we took the exhaust flex, we took the extra exhaust flex out and just basically ran with no exhaust flex, so no spaces at all, and ran with a higher sprocket, and that was just actually more beneficial for getting the most performance out of this engine. So yeah, now we're back on track here, going down the straight, and it just feels better already. And then we have a little bit of a hairy moment in practice as best mate, if you remember him, Jack Munro, gives me a little bit of a touch there going for a pass on me, and well, I just decided to do some giggles for the camera and give him a very unjustful signature. But anyway, that's our day done for practice. As you can see here, we're taking off all of our old tyres and getting ready to bolt on a set of newbies for tomorrow. So all of our pre-race prep is done after the practice. We've got the go-kart back to where we want it for the fresh tyre run in the morning. We got no qualifying this weekend as we're not the feature class this time. So it's completely random grid as per most usual Ipswich meetings. So K100s get the feature class this meet, which is not us. So we go straight to a random grid in Heat 1, and then it's a reverse random grid of what was opposed to of Heat 1 for Heat 2. So yeah, that's it, and let's go racing now.
and Justin Voigt in the 14. Noah Lees, the 18. John Turnbull and John Lillis getting set for a start in our third heat here for Tag Restricted Medium. We are underway. Vandenbroek assumes the lead. McNaught into second spot. Dennis Ernie won the first race this morning. So McNaught's right there now with your race leader, Riley Vandenbroek. McNaught goes faster again. 50.428 that time. At the halfway point is Vandenbroek over McNaught. There's that margin. Not much in it between the pair of them, both out of the Power Republic stable. Then it's Hearn, followed by the Salvo, then Fox, Lillis, Turnbull, then Lees, Voigt, Jordan, and John Lillis. Will McNaught be close enough to try and mount a challenge anytime soon? Coming up to the end of lap number 5. This pair nose to tail at the moment, pretty evenly matched. It's got to be said. McNaught gets it down to a 50.391 that time. The gap's 0.238. You don't need me to tell you that though, you can see it on circuit, the gap between the pair of them. It's behind them. Coming through the final set of turns. Checkered flag is at the ready for Riley Vandenbroek, who gets it done. Brad McNaught gets the Quinella for Power Republic. Then a turn, followed by DeSalvo, Fox and Ben Lillis. Noah Lee's home in 7th spot. Then it's Turnbull, Voigt home in... It'll be who starts on the pole. Brad McNaught alongside in the 5. Hearn to Salvo, Fox and Lillis, and Jordan, Nees, Voigt, Lillis, and Turnbull were away for 10. That's what it comes down to. Through the middle part of the racetrack they go. Now to Video Pro on lap number 1. Josh Hearn, new fastest lap for him, a 50.460 that time by 5/1000ths quicker than Brad McNaught, who set his personal best. In fact, McNaught was faster by 1/10 of a second on Vandenbroek that time through. So it's starting to heat up at the front as we're on lap number 4 now. Hearn down over the wheel, trying to maximise his aerodynamic impact and minimise the aero wash It'll be getting off the back of the Brad McNaught kart. Vanderbroek responds. New quickest lap for him, a 54.49. The battle's on for second here. Hearn's close enough. Peek over the shoulder from McNaught. Hearn up the inside. Gets it done. Into second he goes. Three laps to go. So they sit at the moment. Hearn just doing everything here, the Northern New South Welshman. Try and get racing with Riley Vandenbroek. If he gets a good run here, will he have a look at the hairpin? I think he might. The familiar stance of getting down over the wheel. Vandenbroek starting to get defensive. Hearn trying to shuffle him out the road, or certainly unsettle the rear of the kart, which I believe he's done so. 2 laps to go. Hearn up the inside. Vandenbroek holding onto it. Oh no, they've both come together and they're both out. They're both off to the side of the circuit.
Well, that was quite an ending to our 4th round of the championship for us personally. But sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. So, I'll start with the beginning. Yeah, so Heat 1 sort of struggled to get by the traffic really quickly. I decided to try a slightly higher tyre pressure than what I normally run. I think that made me sort of suffer a little bit, and I couldn't really get through the pack as quick as I could, which isn't very ideal, but I think regardless, I think starting that far at the back, and when most of the fast people are up at the front, I think I was going to finish P4 regardless of how quick I got through that traffic in the beginning anyway for that first heat. Heat 2, started up front in P2, got a little bit of squirrely at the start, and I was a bit slow to sort of get away as well. It just felt like the kart just bogged straight down, which wasn't very ideal. Heat 3, it was pretty good to be Power Republic go-karts 1 and 2 for the whole of that heat. Heat 3, it was pretty good to see 2 Power Republic karts 1 and 2 leading the way, and pretty dominant as well, I must say. Yeah, we just led the whole way. I think Bradley trying to apply pressure on, or at least keeping me in check. I mean, he was quicker than me on a lot of the laps in that race, particularly early on, and then I think the last 2 or 3 laps toward the end, he sort of fell off away from our pace and didn't really have anything to compete with our engine speed, which is a bit of a surprise because this engine hasn't really particularly been too good. But I guess now coming back from a second rebuild and a fresh carburetor kit, it seems like this engine's really come alive, which is about time. So that's my second engine in the kit. For the final, yeah, had a good getaway, had a pretty strong start. It was Power Republic 1-2. Bradley was sitting in second for most of the way, and I was steadily just creeping away from him. Not a lot, but just a little bit, bit by bit. But he was pretty much there in the beginning anyway. Like, he was pretty much there from start till finish. Josh got by Bradley, and then Bradley was coming after me, then he caught up to me, and then, yeah, me and Josh crashed, which is a bit unfortunate, but honestly, I don't blame him for the move. I think it's a shared blame from both of us, 50-50. I mean, he's a 10 or a 12 time, or multiple time state champion winner, so of course I knew he was going to be coming for me and going for a move, but I was confident that when we started battling, I was confident that I could have held him off for at least the last 2 laps as it was getting towards the near end of the race. It would have been probably not quite like a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. It would have definitely been a mission and a half to keep a guy like him behind when he's a multiple state champion and a multiple time race winner. But yeah, I think as for that incident, you can see that his move, although it was quite late, it was a pretty mighty send, and in all fairness, as soon as I saw it, I should have backed out, but at the same time too, I felt like I was entitled to more space on the inside to turn 2 there. And not only that too, but you can see as he's gone for the send, he's also clipped, he's fully centered and clipped that inside curb, and he's gotten just a touch bit sideways and a little bit out of control, so and then he's come fully right over into my path, and although I was still there, I think I also too should have also had backed out. And the worst case scenario that would have, well, I guess the worst case scenario did happen, is we touched and we crashed and we both spun. Probably the better thing that probably would have happened, the best case scenario, is I probably, as soon as I saw it, I should have backed out of it. We both would have had really tight, narrow entries into turn 2, and then would have had some pretty bog exits for the following corner, or I guess the exits of turn 2. And I potentially could have maybe stayed ahead of Bradley. Bradley was pretty close behind, but I'm pretty confident I probably could have been able to still maintain position despite the slow exits. But the battling would have been brought a lot closer than what it was before all that happened. And we probably could have ended up battling all 3 of each other for the last 2 laps. One thing I'm going to note about myself upon my rejoin was that it was actually quite dangerous, and I ended up getting in the way of the path of I ended up getting in the middle of the circuit, and although there was a train of 2 drivers, there was I think Harrison Fox or Sebi DeSalvo and Ben Lillis, and unfortunately Ben Lillis had to take avoiding action, probably because he anticipated that I was going to come back onto the racing line. And honestly, what I should have done is I should have just stayed still. Yes, I would have lost some time, and it would have compromised my positions probably a little bit further, and I wouldn't have been able to finish 7th, but honestly, I think if the stewards had it, although my race was already compromised, I think I probably should have received a penalty for that as well, having a dangerous re-entry to the circuit and compromising what could have been potentially a 3rd place to Ben as well. So, you know, I know I'm sounding like I'm shooting myself in the foot here, but I think the rules are rules, and I gotta call myself out for that, honestly. That was a very, very disgusting read. And I know in moments like that are so small and a bit panicky when you go off, and then you got to come back on and get as many positions as you possibly can to recover. But safety first, I think, even in racing as well. That's going to be a priority. And you know, that's my 2 cents. In the end of all that, Bradley, our teammate, is the winner of at the end of the day. So GG to Bradley, and GG to all the other drivers as well. I'm not actually sure what's next. I got quite a bit on this month. Probably going to be doing some on-track testing for tag. Might even make a visit to Toowoomba, who knows. And then we've also got another club round happening at Ipswich later at the end of the month to look forward to. So, and then we've got a big break in July, and then we come back to Ipswich again for round 4 of the Australian Karting Championships, which, if I can get my entry in, hopefully we will be competing in that. But until next time, guys, goodbye and keep on racing.